Welcome, my name is Lana Labonte, and I am here to support, uplift, inspire, and hopefully empower you to be the best version of yourself that you were meant to be. So we are here, now we are on chapter 5 of The Invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. Let us begin. The joy. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. Tell me about a moment of joy in your life. Were you able to let it renew your heart, rekindle your ability to live fully? When did you last laugh until your sides ached? Do you dare to lose control and let the joy carry you? I'm all for these moments of impossible joy, whether they come in the course of an ordinary day or in an extraordinary, ecstatic experience. There are some who would have us believe that we have to choose, warning us away from the ecstatic rush of feelings that comes in moments of real magic, admonishing us to focus only on the joy found in ordinary moments. Their warning is understandable. Moments of mystical union can tempt us to spend our lives searching for those peak experiences and leave us unable or unwilling to receive the same joy where it is offered in the simpler experiences, in the taste of a ripe mango eaten slowly, or a moment of quiet stillness. But I am a greedy woman. I want it all. I want the small daily joys. I want to celebrate the birthdays, the graduations, and the days well lived. And I want to experience the ecstasy, the vision of wholeness that dissolves my boundaries and lets me taste the God that lives within and around me. I am a blessed woman, for I have had both. And I have learned that the ecstasy of mango juice on my tongue and union with spirit are not as different as I once thought. We are having a special meal to celebrate the end of my son's school term. You can tell it is special because we are eating in the dining room. The table has been set with the blue willow china, not really good china, but a different pattern and less chipped than what is used daily. I am in the last-minute frenzy of trying to get everything from kitchen to the table while it is still hot. The turkey, dressing, mashed potatoes, gravy, broccoli, and summer squash. I have shooed the boys and Taras, the man who is sharing more and more of my life, out of the kitchen. Distracted, I survey the table one last time, making sure everything is there before I sit down. And I glance up to see Taras watching me. I am flushed. Damp tendrils of hair have escaped hairpins and curled down my throat. My dress is wrinkled and clinging to my body, where it is moist with perspiration from working in the warm kitchen. Suddenly, Taras, on his feet, grinning and moving towards me from the opposite end of the table. God, you look beautiful, he says, surprising me, grabbing me around the waist with a sure, strong arm. Look at her, boys, he calls to Brandon and Nathan. Doesn't your mother look beautiful? His unexpected exuberance makes me believe him. He starts singing the wordless melody of the Blue Danube Waltz and dancing around the table, pulling me with him as I half-heartedly protest that the food will get cold. My hair comes completely undone and falls around my shoulders, and I give up. We dance and laugh, and the boys join in, twirling around the food-laden table. Finally, we stop, exhausted, and collapse, laughing, into our chairs. It doesn't matter that the food has cooled. We sit smiling and quiet for a moment, catching our breath and looking at one another's shining faces. Joy finds us and lifts us in ordinary moments like this, if we let it. And the ecstasy we feel then, the opening to life, it is not really different from what we find in spiritual questing or mystical practices, although these experiences have their own ways of transforming us. Going to a retreat led by a friend in a yogic tradition of meditation, I am prepared to surrender to the ancient method, although it is not my usual way of working. For 4 days I sit opposite another whose only words to me over and over are, "Tell me who you are." Each time I am asked, I turn inward and focus my intent on directly experiencing the I am. That is beyond thought and word and action. As I let go of what I think I am, of what I anticipate the experience to be, my body begins to move. My back aches on an inhalation, my shoulders are thrown back, and my face turns upward toward the sky with a long sigh that builds to a low moan on the exhalation. My muscles tense and relax in an undulating rhythm. Each time I go into myself, the movement is more intense, my breath deeper and faster. This is not what I had expected. I had imagined some kind of serene peace or sense of all-encompassing benevolence and infinite stillness. Not this heat, this surge of power, this explosion of sensation and movement in my body. Gradually, I stopped worrying about what others might think and opened more and more to the direct experience. And finally, when I let go of the fear, it's like riding a dragon through the night sky. I feel the fire that is myself, and more than myself, and I ride the flame. The boundaries between myself and the walls of the room, the floor beneath me, the person across from me, the trees outside dissolve in the heat. All the edges are ash. There is nothing that is not dragon, winged with feathers of turquoise, vermilion, azure. For a moment I'm afraid it will tear me open, and it does, and I am the dragon. The joy of no separation fills me, even as the heat continues to sear through me. I am the heat and the searing. It is easier to talk about dancing around a dining room table than it is to describe an ecstatic union with the mystery. Metaphor can only approximate what is beyond words, and yet the joy in both the ordinary and the extraordinary is found in the experience of connection, in the place where we receive the belonging that is ours. When I emerged from the direct experience of who I am, I started to laugh. All of my worries about the future and my resentments about past hurts seemed in the moment very small when compared to the vastness of what I was apart. In that moment, I knew that joy, real joy that does not deny what is hard in our lives, is a choice. Joy finds us when we feel the elation that comes when we know that we belong to another, to ourselves, to the world, to the mystery that is larger than ourselves. When you share your joy with me, you tell me what you belong to. The joy of dancing in the dining room shows me that at the end of the day, after all is done, efficiently or not, I belong to the people I love. Riding the dragon, I taste the joy of belonging to and embodying the very life force of this universe. Why is it often hard for us to choose joy, even in moments when there are no painful circumstances in our lives? Sometimes I think we simply do not know how. Many of our secular rituals of celebration and relaxation involve moving away from being with what is, numbing out, if only a little with drugs or alcohol. As one of my students once said, we don't seem to know very much about how to lighten up without numbing out. Music and dance are obvious exceptions to this. But in our culture, we are too often only spectators and not participants in creating and moving to the sound of celebration. I want to cultivate ways of celebrating joy in my life, and I want to recognize and savor the moments of joy that come. I want to enjoy the full variety of pleasures life holds, even when some of those joys appear to others to be incompatible and contradictory. I love my home with all of its carefully chosen furnishings. My grandmother's dark mahogany dining room set with their china cups and crystal arranged behind the cabinet's glass door in the same places she kept them for 50 years. My massive 4-poster bed with the white duvet, the brilliant colors of the rooms, dark blues of sky and red browns of earth. But I have been equally content in my tiny trailer beside a lake in the wilderness. Its small add-on room with rough, unpainted particle board walls and tin can wood stove are all I feel I will ever need as I carry clear, clean water from the lake, reveling in the simplicity of only 2 rooms to clean. I have spent 5 weeks alone in this place, never hearing another human voice, and been content. My secret joy is found late at night, when 1,000,000 stars are reflected in the still surface of the lake. I paddle out, slip down to lie on my back in the bottom of the canoe, and drift on the water in silence, held by 1,000,000 points of light above and below, my heart breaking with the joy of being alive on this beautiful planet. I resist the voices, inner and outer, that tell me I must choose between joys, must pick a set that fits a lifestyle. I want to rejoice in the pleasure of stretching my muscles as I climb onto the roof of the add-on, in the heat of the day, sweat pouring down my back, dust covering my jeans, to tar the seams against the rain that will come, and then, back in the city a day later, revel in the joys of dressing in black velvet, sheer stockings, and high heels to attend the opera. Sitting in the dark cave of the theater, I dwell in the center of the joy of a single heart-trending note sung fearlessly. Being with joy means being willing to be stretched, to expand, to hold it all. With joy we are stretched to take in the enormity of it all, ourselves, the world, the mystery. And this frightens us. We have been taught that if we have too great a sense of our own largeness, we will lack humility or invite dangerous envy. One of the most valuable things I have ever been told was, never apologize for what you do well. And I don't. I take joy in what I do well, feel blessed by my abilities, and look for ways to share the gifts I have been given. And I have discovered pleasure in doing things I will never do well. I play the piano, very badly, without hope of ever playing well. I play because I love to participate in the making of music. I play because it helps me lighten up without numbing out, stops me from taking myself too seriously, and reminds me that there is joy in what I do well and in what I do badly. Those I choose to be with intimately are those who can appreciate the joy of both. And I am careful not to participate, even by remaining silent, in another's efforts to diminish the enormity in our lives. A young woman, jaded by the past and frightened for the future, shrugs and tells me in a derisive sing-song voice that she is at that "I want to spend the rest of my life with you" stage of a new relationship. I wince, stop her, and ask her not to do this, not to tear at that precious place where love is birthed, that magical time when all things seem possible. I ask her to share with me her joy, her excitement, her fear, and her hope that love is possible. She begins to cry. Joy scares her more than pain. Pain is familiar. Joy breeds dangerous hope and the potential for disappointment. We are so frightened of the pain of disappointment that we often pick at what is new and hopeful, anticipating flaws or failures, robbing ourselves of the joy that lifts our spirits. If we have lived at all, we know there will be trials, that the bliss of new love will be changed and colored by the practical details of life together. We do not need to be reminded that our lover is human, even if, in touching their divinity, we have forgotten for a moment. Life will remind us soon enough. The enemy of joy is the litany of not good enough. That picks at what is or might be, finding the imperfections, real or imagined. I am good at this. My perfectionism can tear at what is imperfect but whole, until the whole is in pieces. Part of me runs toward disappointment in an effort to avoid the pain of being sideswiped by unanticipated letdown. It's just one more way of trying to feel in control. But to feel joy, we have to trust the moment and welcome it in its fullness for what it is. We have to be willing to acknowledge that we are often not in control, and to celebrate the good fortune in this. And we have to feel worthy of having joy in our lives. Years ago, my mother and I were talking about the high rate of divorce in our culture. People, she said matter-of-factly, expect too much these days. No, I replied with a swiftness and a quiet sadness that surprised myself. They don't expect enough. We were both right, of course. We often do expect the happy ever after romance of the movies and discount the small, imperfect joys of daily living. But we also often expect too little joy in life and settle for less than our souls need to flourish. It's not that I expect to feel happy every day. In fact, I value the elusive kernel of meaning, the often difficult unfolding of the larger story, more than I value fleeting feelings of happiness. But life is very short and precious. We can make any number of good choices to live meaningful, productive, loving lives. Surely the choices that bring us the most joy will be the easiest to sustain, will make it possible for us to contribute all that we are able. And this is not always about making the choices that bring the most immediate gratification. There is a special kind of joy in what is held back and released in full celebration. Tell me about a joy in your life that came unexpectedly, a moment that you did not even know you were waiting for, that caught you off guard and made you smile. As I left the university one afternoon, excited by the ideas I had been writing and reading about, a thought flashed through me. This is what I was made for. I stopped in the street, stunned by the joy of it. People passing paused to look at me standing there alone, grinning from ear to ear, to find those places inside of ourselves and in the world where we belong, to find that for which we were made and to recognize it. This is joy. I was made to dance around the dining room table in the arms of a man who loves me, letting the food get cold. I belong to the stars in the night sky and on the mirrored surface of the lake, to the silence of the wilderness in darkness. I was made to ride the dragon. I belong to the ideas I love. I was made to study and learn and teach and write. I belong to all of this and much more. This is my joy, and it is limitless. A meditation on belonging. Sit in a comfortable position with a pen and paper nearby. Bring your attention to your breathing, following the rhythm of your breath in and out of your body. Being aware of the rising of your belly with the inhalation and the falling of your belly with the exhalation. Allow the weight in your body to drop down to the bottom of your body, feeling how the floor beneath you and the earth beneath the floor support you. Spend a few moments just following your breath. If thoughts come, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Then, in the stillness, allow the phrase, "I belong to come into your mind and complete itself. You may want to write the statement down. There may be an image that accompanies the completion of this statement. Stay with the image and whatever feelings it raises within you. What does this belonging feel like? What does it look like? What does it taste like? If nothing comes, sit with the feelings that this brings. When you're ready, come back to your breath, following the inhalation and exhalation again for a few moments. Then allow the phrase, "I was made for," to come into your mind and complete itself. You may want to write this statement down. Spend some time being with the images and feelings this statement raises. I was made for. You can spend some time repeating this process, moving from one phrase to the other for 5 or 10 minutes. I belong to. I was made for. When you feel complete, sit and read the list. What do you notice? Are there surprises? Are there people or places or activities to which you belong or for which you were made that appear to be contradictory? Is there joy in knowing to what you belong? Is there fear or sadness in not knowing? How much of your life is spent being with the things to which you belong, for which you were made? Are you willing to have more of what brings you joy in your life? Be with yourself and your feelings without judgment. And that concludes chapter 5. See you in the next chapter.